Chris. As you can see, I'm alone right now. Steve's still having his dinner, so it'll be a few minutes before he can join us. So I guess until then, it's just you guys and me. Well, it's been a while since we did a Humpday Hangout, mainly because I had a little intermission with moving to Hamilton and moving right back a month later because, well, things didn't work out the way I hoped they would. So, yeah, I'm back in my old place, rearranged it a little bit to make it more conclusive to streaming. Still getting a few things dialed in, so there's still a few glitches here and there, some stuff that's not fully unpacked and wired up yet, but we're getting there, In the meantime, well, I haven't heard a lot of feedback from you guys as far as what you would like to see on the channel or where you would like to see this channel go. Unfortunately, I was hoping for a little more interaction, but well, I guess that probably takes time for the word to get out and for everybody to kind of find their footing. I mean, I know there's a lot of creative techs out there with a lot of talents that should be shared, you know? It's like we've all got stuff to teach each other, we all got stuff to show each other. And we all got talents, you know, that we can showcase and that need an audience that's willing to listen or watch or look or pay attention, or whatever the case may be. And if anything, this pandemic has shown me how many people have like really, really fun hobbies or talents that nobody knows of that would be really, really fun to showcase. There's people that have great musical talents, great artistic graphic design talents, you know, cartoon drawing talents, sculpting, cooking, you know, whatever it is. There's a lot of stuff we can do. There's a lot of content to be made there. And I'm just looking at the chat, but nothing's much happening in the chat yet. I'm waiting for Steve to join us at some point. He, from what I understand, he ruined his dinner. So he's a little bit behind things, but whenever he gets ready, hopefully he can join us as well at some point. So we'll see what happens when he gets here. I'm just going to set this up. Yeah, aside from that, I learned a lot about myself in this move project. I guess I better, well, yeah, I guess I better fill you guys in a little more without giving away too much. Basically, a colleague approached me who was struggling financially a little bit to hold his house because his tenants moved out and he was looking for a new tenant. And it seemed pretty promising. He said he had an entire house with lots of space. You know, he could set up the studio and all this wonderful stuff. It all sounded really, really good. Unfortunately, I believe he completely underestimated the spatial requirements that I had. And yeah, well, it just didn't, I got everything unpacked there, just didn't work space-wise and lifestyle-wise. There's like, there's no way each of us could do our thing without getting in each other's way, so there was no real point. And I was really, really lucky. I managed to get my old apartment back, thanks to a brilliant superintendent of the building who went to bat for me, and thanks to him, yeah, I got my apartment back. Still no sign from Steve. Anyways, yeah, so that's there's a lot more to the story, but that's not fit for public conversation. Well, yeah. Mainly to protect the identity of those that are concerned, so I'm going to leave it at that. I'm going to clock it up to incompatible lifestyles. Let's just leave it there. Yeah, so I used this whole opportunity to reinvent myself a little bit. I learned a lot about myself, my work ethics, my moral boundaries, and yeah, things like that, basically, right? And when I came back here to Toronto, I reassessed how I put my stuff into the space. I think I did a good job. I completely separated working environment and living environment now, which allows me the unique, well, not unique, but it's, for me, it's important mindset thing that I can actually leave my living room and go to work in the other room. So even if it's just a commute walking down the hallway into another room, there is a significant mindset thing that happens, at least to me, when I basically go to work. And the same thing goes in reverse. Like at some point when the computer's rendering or whatever, when I take a break, I leave the studio slash office, whatever you want to call it, and go into my living room that has no work stuff there whatsoever. And I can just get away from work for a few minutes, you know, have a smoke, play a game on the PlayStation, and then go back to work as I walk in the other room. And the whole thing just flips my mindset. So that helps me get into a certain operating mode, for lack of a better word. And yeah, so I figured a couple of things out about myself and worked on enabling myself to do certain things better, and I've hugely downsized, mostly involuntarily, especially with my kitchen equipment. I literally donated all of my kitchen gear because I was moving into a place with a fully equipped kitchen. Little did I know that I'd be moving out 4 weeks later and find myself with no kitchen equipment or gear, except a water kettle and a toaster, which is okay, I guess. Yeah, so the lesson I learned from that, don't donate your stuff too quickly. I should have put it in storage somewhere for a little bit, but whatever. We learn our lessons, right? On that note, that was pretty much all I can say about that whole story without boring everybody to death who's not dead already. Still no sign from Steve. I guess he said something about burning his dinner, so I don't know what the deal with him is. If anybody else is there paying attention, you can probably check in on either in the chat, or you can drop in on our Discord server and yeah, join me here and have a little chat if you want. If you're not a member of our server yet, let me just see if I can get the Discord invites here. Let's see, okay. I'm just gonna add another text here. There we go. Okay. And now we will have the link to the Discord server up there. So feel free. This link will be only good for 24 hours, so if you're not watching this live, well then you're shit out of luck, because it's only going to look good for 24 hours. That being said, if you want to join our Discord community, drop us an email or let us know in the comments and we'll contact you and send you an invite. And make sure you like and subscribe to this video, click the notification bell so you're notified whenever we release some videos. We were planning to do a lot more in the new year when things get up and running again around here. Like I said, I'm still dialing in a few things. A couple of things are not unpacked yet. I haven't found a couple of pieces of gear. So I'm kind of roughing it right now. But, oh well, that's just the way it goes sometimes, I guess. Nope, no sign of Steve yet. But, yeah, what else can we talk about? Well, there was a news article the other day concerning the pandemic. Here, let's have a look at this one real quick. Okay, so this is an article from Variety magazine, and yeah, it basically says live concert industry lost 30 billion in 2020. That's information from Polestar, and it says, yeah, the North American concert industry has lost more than 30 billion in 2020. And it says Polestar later corrected that statistic to be the global concert industry. So they're saying worldwide it's been 30 billion in losses. Interesting. The projected 30 billion figure includes unreported events, auxiliary revenues, including sponsorships, ticketing, concessions, merch, transportations, restaurants, hotels, and other economic activity tied to live events, according to the report. There's also a link to the full report. I'll put that in the notes. I'll put that in the stream. Put that in the description. See if we can get that in there. There we go. And we're back. So that'll be the link to the full report. They're saying Elton John's farewell Yellow Brick Road tour was the year's tour with 87.1 million gross between November 30th through March 7th. It was number 2 on 2019's tally with 212 million gross. Rounding out the top 10 are Celine Dion, Trans-Siberian Orchestra, U2, Queen and Adam Lambert, Post Malone, Eagles, Jonas Brothers, Dead & Company, and Andrea Bocelli. They came to this, the 30 plus billion in projected losses derived from the 10.92% year-over-year growth rate tabulated in Q1, the last full quarter before the pandemic. Huh. Interesting. So 30 billion worldwide, huh? That's just crazy. That's just absolutely crazy. But what are you gonna do? I actually think the number is probably higher than that. I'll bet you. Especially if you include all of the freelancers and production companies, their lost income. I think they haven't factored that in from what I could read in the article. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they did factor it in. I'm not sure. I couldn't tell. I couldn't see it, so I don't know. Any sign of Steve? No, no sign of Steve's yet, but we'll see. He should be here soon. He texted me that his food is ruined anyways, I think, so. Yeah, so we'll know whatever's happening anyways. Well, it looks like the stream is stable and healthy, so that's good news. It's a little bit of testing here still. Like I said, I'm just getting everything unpacked and running again. Still some troubleshooting involved. But overall, we got more room. I got to figure out some camera mounting positions still. This is not quite what I need it to be, but we'll get there. I have an idea where I can put some cameras. As soon as I find my magic arm, which is in the box that I haven't unpacked yet apparently. And oh, look at that. The Colonel is coming in, and we will have him with us shortly. Hey, look at there. Hey, Steve.
Hey. Hey, bud.
How you doing?
Good, yourself?
Yeah, I'm hanging in there, getting stuff going.
Yeah, sorry for the late arrival, but I went onto the YouTube channel quickly and saw that you actually had the Discord website up, which is awesome for the broadcast, so people can actually see when you join and stuff. So that's cool.
Yeah, I actually have to add that on the setup with you as well. So give me a second.
Filling into my OBS window or something like that?
Yeah, exactly. I've still got to overlay it in this window. I just added that quickly, but that's a quick one, as you know. Let me just position.
So are we live?
Yeah, we're live.
Yeah, I thought so. All right.
Yeah, I've been live since about 8 o'clock. I finally figured out how to properly schedule the streams and get them to start at that time, so
Right on.
there we go.
Discord was giving me all sorts of trouble. I had to do like a whack load of updates, and then it crashed on me. And so, yeah, that's why it took me a while to. I've been here for about 10 minutes, but I haven't been able to get through.
That
So,
sucks.
It is what it is, right? Technology is great when it works.
Yeah.
So, but so hey, what's going on, man? I haven't seen you in what, about a week or so?
Yeah, well, as you can see, I got most of my stuff unpacked and up and running.
Yeah, I did.
So,
Cool.
yeah, things are starting to normalize again. It's a little tight on the budget because, as you know, I spent all my money on this pointless move. Well, it wasn't really pointless. I've learned a few things, but
Well, that's a good way to look at it.
yeah,
Right? I mean,
right.
you came away with some more knowledge. I think probably everybody in that situation did in some way or another.
Yeah, hopefully.
So, that's a good thing, right? Try to focus on the positive. Not
That's the way I'm looking at it too. And like I was just telling the audience, if there is an audience currently, earlier, that I kind of use that opportunity to reinvent myself in some way, and immediately apply that knowledge or the things I learned about myself.
Yeah. Well, taking advantage of something like that to turn it into something positive, to learn something about yourself, is the most constructive thing you could possibly do. That's for sure. Rather than just thinking, something else now sucks in my life or anything like that. And I think that's really important for this time that we're in right now, since we're just about to go back into another lockdown and stuff like that. Just trying to keep a positive attitude whatsoever when just all of our routines and stuff like that are just we were just kind of getting back to some routines, and now we're kind of going back to what we were at before, which is really unfortunate.
Yeah, I guess that's true as well, right? But
yeah, so I don't know. I mean, I'm trying to look at it positively too. I'm not able to visit my family Christmas because, well, my parents are in their late 80s, and I've been around enough people since I've been back at work, and with my wife Jamie being, at school and stuff like that, and there's some COVID cases there, we just didn't feel it was very smart or very safe to want to expose them to that. Not that we tested positive or anything like that or had any symptoms, but at the same time, there's the whole thing of what we don't know is asymptomatic people carrying it, and we just wouldn't want to do that, as far as to cause anybody any health problems because we just weren't actually following some of the rules. I mean, I'm gonna have to say that they got to be in place for a reason, somewhat, even if we don't completely agree probably on some of the methods in which have been instilled over the past few months.
Yeah, I guess that's a valid point. I mean, you got to kind of roll with the punches a little bit, right? Otherwise, otherwise it's not going to work properly.
I think actually that's something that is really, really positive for us as far as like what we do in this industry because so much of our job depends on running with the punches that like you just learn not to get upset about it.
Yeah.
To a certain degree anyway. There's always going to be something to get upset about, but it's just for the fact that it's, we kind of work in an industry that's always has like some sort of a moving target, shall we say. Just because we think we're going to do it one way, sometimes, there'll be something thrown at us that makes it change it, whether it's, the piece of gear that you thought you were going to have isn't going to arrive, or, the client changes their mind and says they want something else. And that's just it. We basically have to say yes or no to be done and just kind of roll with it. And what else can you really do? Otherwise, if you get upset every single time, you don't last very long in this business.
Yeah, I guess that is very true, right? I mean, the point is you're absolutely right. We're used to kind of having to be flexible, because stuff changes all the time. So for us, that's no big change in our procedure or in our way of thinking, right?
Yeah.
The thing we're not used to is not having any options.
Yeah, no kidding.
Because like most of us or at least a lot of people in the industry are like freelancers or at least kind of independently employed in some form or another, and everybody is used to like, yeah, okay, if I can't get any work here, then I'll work for this company or I'll hop on this tour or whatever. There's always been options to go for work. There's always stagehands needed, if nothing else. So.
Yeah, we've talked about this before that like stagehands especially have probably been the hardest hit in the industry. That and probably anything to do with staging at all, and that includes carpentry as well. And there's no transition for these skilled people, to just basically go do something else. I mean, yeah, they're smart people and they do have some other crossover skills and stuff like that, but just the sheer number alone in the industry, makes it awfully tough and competitive for those people to try and get, a job of some sort because they're competing against each other as well in some respects.
It's true.
It's really shitty. They can't, really transition to virtual events like some of us have been lucky enough to do. They've been sitting at home. Well, maybe not sitting at home, but they've been waiting for the phone to ring at one point, basically saying that live events are coming back and that we're going to have work again. Like a lot of people have, and it sucks. It does suck.
Yeah,
That's why I think just a couple days here before Christmas, it's really important to take stock of the good things in your life. Whether that's someone who's special to you, your family, or whatever that happens to be. Yeah, even maybe your pet.
Yeah, I was just gonna bring him up because that's pretty much the only one I can list. Like my family, my parents are all gone, right? They died like decades ago. My brother lives in Europe with his son. We don't talk much. We kind of talk every couple of years or whatever. So there's no real Christmas stuff happening at all around my house, and it hasn't for the last 15 years or so, right? So I don't really
Well,
do Christmas at all. But what I did realize while I was there is how grateful I am and how lucky I am with my dog. You know,
yeah,
like,
it's an awesome dog.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
a
How
fantastic dog.
what
You
a
know, and
what an amazing animal, you know, and how fortunate I am that he landed in my lap basically through the fostering thing. It's like
yeah.
that's a one in a million chance, you know.
No, I think I love seeing what a lot of people on the internet call foster care with animals.
Yeah,
You know, they take them in and then they just decide, hey, like, you know, there's no possible way I could even think about giving this animal away, that they have to be a part of your home. You
yeah,
know, I think that's amazing. You know, and for those that do you know, the fostering and stuff like that, and are able to give them the good homes and stuff like that, you know, I gotta commend those people because I don't know if I could do that. You know, I just get way too attached.
well, the
You
thing
know,
is, you know, like I've fostered many dogs in the last couple of years since my last dog died, and of course it's hard, you know, giving them up. But usually you get to see where they end up, you know, what family they end up with, and when you see the joy they bring to that their new home, you know, to that family, to those kids or whatever, when you see those eyes light up, you know, then you're going like, okay, it's okay, you know, it's kind of letting go is part of the package, kind of.
yeah, I know you gotta be emotionally prepared for that.
Yeah, and you
So
know that
I
going
just
in.
know that that's a weak point for me.
Yeah, I mean it's hard. I'm not gonna lie. You know, every time it's hard just saying goodbye. You know, but
I have no doubt. You know, I think it's I love the fact that you know, we have these organizations that are doing these things, and you know, one thing that's important to remember too is that, and I hope that people remember this. It always goes out every Christmas as far as a message. The idea of giving a pet for a Christmas gift is one of the worst gifts you could possibly do,
I agree.
because you know, it's a commitment, and
Yeah,
it's a, you know, long-term commitment. It is not something like, oh, we'll have this dog as a puppy, and then you know, when he's grown up, he'll just stay out in the yard. You
yeah.
know,
It doesn't work that way. Exactly. That's you gotta have time, and you know that's the thing. That's why I have a problem with people say, you know, you're a dog owner. You don't own the dog. You literally adopt it. It becomes part of your family, you know, and it has to. And you have to treat
absolutely.
and you have to look at that responsibility the same way you look at the responsibility for your kids.
Well, it's funny, you know, like we see all these different things about you know, animal cruelty and such, and it's been said many times before by many different people that, you know, these people that commit these crimes and everything like that, we kind of wish that in a way there was like an application process in a way that kind of would weed out the bad you know, pet owners. We'll stick with the term owner for now versus, you know, adopted family member or anything like that. Because
Steward
it's
is a good
well, well,
word.
some people never make them part of their family, and that's really sad in itself.
Yeah.
But you know, yeah, that whole the idea of like, you know, qualifying to be a good enough human being to have an animal. I mean, it's not a terrible idea. I don't know how that would ever possibly be
Well,
enforced.
I mean, like adoption companies do try to do just that thing, right? They screen the recipients of a dog before you know before they give them the animal. They make sure within their possibilities as much as possible that the dog goes to a good home.
Yeah, and that's great for adoption agencies and stuff like that. I know
Yeah,
you're talking about even if you're picking up an animal from a kennel, you know,
yeah, that's what I mean. Unfortunately, you know, there is no laws in place that require anybody to basically prove qualifications before taking ownership of a pet. You know, it's like
yeah.
you can just pick it up at a pet store or secondhand off of somebody, whether you're qualified or not.
It's the same notion in some respects too, just you know, on a different scale, obviously, with just us as human beings, you know, and we all know that there are some people that are good parents and some people that are bad parents, you know, and the fact that it's, you know, just anybody can have a child, so to speak, you know, as far as the tools that we have and stuff like that.
Yeah.
We don't need to get into anything as far as you know, couples that have problems conceiving or anything like that.
Well, you know,
But
we're
just
just
the fact
saying
that
like
anybody
legally,
can have a kid,
yeah,
you know,
legally everybody can have a kid. There's no regulations in place.
Yeah, I mean, that's why there are other organizations out there, um, like the Celtic Gay Society and a few others, which I mean, that's a pretty slippery slope in itself. Um, I can respect the fact that they're trying to keep the kids' interest best at heart and stuff like that, but some of the methods over the years and stuff like that from some of those organizations have certainly been questionable. Um, especially when you're directly involved. But it's we have to understand though too, as much as it sucks, they have a job to do too. And I just hope that any animal or any child that has been adopted recently and is going to a home and spending their first Christmas in their home, their new home, are happy and healthy and are where they should be. You know, that's that's my Christmas wish right there.
Yeah, that's not a bad one actually.
You know, we can't control so much of what we do and what we're living through. So it's just I don't know. To me, it's just a sentiment, and be that as it may.
Yeah, I don't know. Have you seen that posting on Facebook from NASCO, where they're trying to hire out their stage crews now for farm and other jobs?
Yes, I did see that, and I think that's a fantastic idea.
Yeah, right.
There's certainly time right now to plan for that for the spring, which is great, especially up here in Canada. We don't have the luxury of being able to farm year round or anything like that. So,
Yeah.
I think it's a fantastic idea. And certainly ideas like that need to be thought of. And it's tough, because the fact of the matter is that as much as we want government assistance like CERB and a few others to keep us through all of this, at some point, like I have to question, at some point is some of that going to run out, to the point where basically they're just going to cut people off, and I know that there's been some postings about people getting messages and stuff like that saying that you have to pay the entire amount back, which is a bit surprising, that's for sure. I've seen a few people post about that, specifically on Facebook, and I was always under the impression that you would just pay the tax on it, not the entire lump sum back. So since I've received it too, it is a bit concerning, that's for sure. But sometimes timing is everything. Giving up notices like that in December is not exactly the best timing for anything when you're trying to prepare for
Yeah.
An extended time off.
Yeah. Well, extended time off is a right word. It's been a very extended time off for most of us.
Yeah, that's the thing is that it's weird to say holidays this year, because when you look back, at the work that we didn't do, so to speak, it just I don't know, just everything around it, for the fact that we've been told, don't visit your family, stay to your household and stuff like that. It doesn't really feel like you're not at work, but you're not. It's not really holiday. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
I don't even know what the word is for it. Like who knows? Maybe somebody needs to invent words for that.
Yeah. Like for me, like I'm completely out of time anyways right now. Like didn't even realize tomorrow was Christmas Eve till like about an hour ago or so when I looked at the calendar. When I was setting up this stream actually, and I said 23rd. Oh wow.
Yeah. Well, once again though, if it's not something that's regularly celebrated in your life or anything like that, then it's easy for a date like that to slip by.
Yeah.
And I want to send out my thoughts and prayers as well to those that have a really, really tough time this time of year. Whether it's you're in a difficult situation domestically or otherwise, or you've lost a family member or someone that you love that's very close to you. I know that this time of the year can be incredibly difficult for you, and with everything that we've gone through with COVID and stuff like that, with the isolation, and I would imagine that's only amplified. So, please everybody, take it easy on yourselves, and remember that there's people out there that love you.
Yeah, and even if you don't know that there's people out there that love you, there's people out there that might love you if they get to know you. But if you're not around to get to know them, you'll never find out, right? So,
Yeah, no, that is well said, Chris. Well said. You know, yeah. Sometimes you would rob people the opportunity of getting to know you.
yeah, because I mean, a lot of us, quite often feel like nobody's out there that truly loves us. Sure, we have friends, and people say I love you all the time, but to truly know down at the depth of your heart that there's somebody there that actually loves you, like having a parent, for example, where you can, for a fact that they love you no matter what, and
Yeah.
not all of us have somebody like that in our lives or feel that we do. But that doesn't mean that there's nobody out there that would fit the part.
And it's not to say that if you weren't around anymore that you wouldn't be missed.
Well, that's the other side as well, right? There will be people missing you, people you probably didn't even think of, that would miss you. You know,
You know.
it's weird
Yeah.
how that works sometimes.
Yeah. I mean, it's just it always breaks my heart whenever I hear those stories like that around this time of year. And like I said, I just hope everybody is able to get through it at this point. I mean, I don't think honestly we can expect much more
No,
at this point.
survival is pretty much the only thing on my wish list for this year.
No kidding, right? Like, in a way, like, this whole experience that we've gone through in the past year, like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's really refocused what my priorities are. That's for sure.
Yeah,
That's what I've come away from it. And, just like any kind of life altering event, you come out of it differently, no matter what you think at the
for
time.
sure.
You may not even notice it yourself, but you are somewhat different.
Oh
Sometimes it
yeah.
takes somebody to actually tell you that.
Yeah, well, like in this case, did notice it or do notice it, I should say. Like I said, I did a lot of reflecting and introspective in this whole moving in and out thing, and some of the stuff I was confronted with made me really think about myself and how I view certain things and how I handle certain scenarios and certain stress factors and all that. And it made me realize how much I changed this year because my perception of myself is based on the 51 years before 2020. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
so that's what I assumed I'm still like. And then when I started looking at myself and going, wait a second, I have changed in a lot of ways, that I wasn't even aware of. And I had to kind of recalibrate my self image, if that makes any sense.
It totally does.
It's
Me,
like,
anyways, it does. Yeah.
yeah. So and that was like for me a very very powerful thing because it allowed me kind of to own up to some of my mistakes that I didn't even realize I had. To kind of address certain bad habits that I didn't realize I had because there's nobody else around to address them. And basically, by viewing myself with that, let's call it a temporal offset, it gave me a perspective that is not as subjective as it normally is when you're looking at yourself.
Yeah, I could see that because you don't have the daily routines around you to distract you from that.
Yeah, well, no, basically, what I was doing is I was looking at a person a year ago and analyzing that from compared to who I am now, which allowed me to view yesteryear me from an objective point of view from a certain distance, right? Which allowed me basically to see things that I didn't see when I was there.
I don't know about you, but I look back at some of my younger years and just for certain things anyway. And I mean, this is just something that happens when you get older. It's just you look back at some of your younger years and just think, man, I really treated that person like shit, or I was such a jackass, or just such an asshole. Like
Yeah.
certain things like that do come up after a while, especially like if you see somebody from your past that you haven't seen in a long time, and you start thinking back to the memories, and you start to remember some of those regrets and stuff like that. You know, that in itself it can eat you alive if you're not careful, right? You know, we all try to do what we can to make amends to some of those people, but at the same time, sometimes those bridges are burnt, right? So, but I don't know. At the end of the day, I think the only thing we can ever wish for each other is just to try and be at peace with each other, you know,
Yeah,
at peace with ourselves more than anything. So, it's the only way we get out of this thing alive.
that's true. And for the sake of everybody else, one simple rule: just don't be a cunt, as my friend Patrick would say. My Irish friend Patrick would say that right now. Don't be a cunt. It's that simple. That's all you need to do. The only rule, and then everything's good.
That's actually one of the catchphrases, if you will, from the series The Boys on Amazon Prime.
Okay.
The main character like always says that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it is a very common, saying in Ireland and England and parts
Yeah.
of that part of the world. So
Yeah, not so much in North America because it's
no.
I suppose it's looked upon as kind of crude, right?
Well, I mean,
But
considering that North America is essentially a lot more prude than Europe,
oh yeah, absolutely.
we tend to,
In all respects.
we tend to forget that the original settlers left Europe for the New World because Europe was getting too liberal, and they felt they needed to go back to their Puritan roots, and that's why they left for the States. So basically, all the people that thought Europe was too progressive, they went to the States or to North America. So it's not surprising that let's say, North America is a little more Puritan oriented than Europe, because that's why they chose that place originally, right?
Well, yeah, I mean it makes a lot of sense when we look at a lot of different things within our society in comparison to European society. You know, one that certainly strikes me the most out of that would certainly be the image of sexuality, as far as how we view things here in North America and how things are viewed in Europe, more or less. From what I've experienced from being over there, there seems to be much more acceptance around people of different sexual orientation. Just a lot less, eyes.
Well, the thing is,
And stuff like
it's
that.
generally it's just the whole subject of sexuality is treated much more as just a natural thing, and not as much as a taboo as it is in North America. And
Yeah.
that tabooing it is what creates a whole bunch of problems.
Yeah,
That
no,
creates
I agree.
a lot of hate crimes, a lot of misunderstanding, and all that. If you can, like, I don't know, I've always, like, one question nobody's been able to answer for me. Like, it is totally acceptable, for an infant to see his mother's naked breasts because he's breastfeeding, right?
Hmm.
So, at what age does the image of a naked breast become detrimental and negative to the development of a boy?
Yeah.
When does that suddenly become a bad thing? Something, that is the most natural thing for a human being to see. It represents, food and nourishment and all that. When do you turn that into something bad that needs to be hidden and covered up and vilified, and the youth needs to be protected from seeing it? While you got to protect a 10-year-old from seeing a nipple, while its 6-month-old brother is happily suckling on one. How does that make sense?
Maybe it's our upbringing as far as that's
That's what I was kind of get to. It's like by making it a big issue, you're creating problems where there are no problems.
well, it's basically sexualizing it.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
That's really what it ends up being. And like one of the things that I've been thinking about recently is just the fact that as a society and stuff like that, we're generally pretty obsessed with sex, right? Just in general. But like in certain communities and stuff like that, like European communities and such, they're much more open about discussing it in a much more mature way,
Yeah.
and almost like detaching some of the other things that kind of come along with it. Whereas I don't think I don't see that here. far as that's concerned. Talking about sexuality in some ways is still, you get back to that Puritan part, it's still kind of viewed as dirty.
Yeah, that's what I mean. That's the core of the problem.
Talking about it, you know?
That's the core of the problem, and because nobody talks about it, it becomes stigmatized. People have misunderstandings, and everything gets over-sexualized, like if just seeing a naked boob, drives a kid up the wall and to do crazy stuff, because it's a big deal, If you like, for me, when I was a kid growing up in Germany, every second shower commercial on TV had a naked woman under the shower. You know what I mean? In a non-sexual context.
Yeah.
Right? There's nothing about it, I seen my mom under the shower, I seen my dad coming out of the bathroom, you know what I mean? It's nothing wrong with that. It's a non-sexual contact. It's a completely normal, natural thing. And that's where North America is missing it. It's things that should be normal become sexualized. And pair that with lacking information or education. You're bound to have ridiculously high numbers of teenage rapes, for example. Like, I don't know for a fact, but I would blindly bet money on that the number of teenage rapes in Europe per capita are much lower than in North America. I have done no research, but I would bet money on it just based on my theory.
Yeah, no, I can get behind that. As far as that's concerned, and the other thing is too is that there's a large amount of content that also comes, from North America that perpetuates the exact same things that we're talking about, right? So where women are being sexualized for fantasy scenes or whatever the case,
Yeah.
in certain movies or whatever the case, right? But it's never portrayed in a way that's kind of isn't looked upon as that. I mean, you just even look at I've been watching some older sitcoms lately.
Mm-hmm.
So I was watching like Fresh Prince of Bel-Air.
Right.
And certain jokes, like it's always interesting to look back when you look at some of the '90s sitcoms and stuff, as far as like, hey, I bet you they couldn't do that joke now, But a lot of that is, there's a lot of on that show and many other shows. There's a lot of like body shaming kind of comedy.
Yeah.
Whatever it's really what it boils down to. Whether it's it looks like you sleep with a lot of people, so you're a slut. You're overweight, so therefore you're fat, and you should be ashamed of that. Or
Yeah, I get you.
There's a real lack of acceptance as far as just body image, period. Versus something that looks healthy or is healthy. And media drives a lot of that. It's one of the driving factors as well for eating disorders and stuff like that. As far as especially for women that are trying to obtain this silly goal that like if I'm going to have a partner of any sort, then I have to do this to be acceptable in the eyes of that person. Which, I mean.
Yeah, but the thing.
Yeah, sure. I would have probably thought that too, but like now that I'm older too, it's like, wow, that's like, yeah. Even when I was in my 20s, still.
Yeah, but dude, there's entire industries dedicated to exploiting that. Be it like from makeup industries, fashion, right down to those magazines that are lined up in the supermarket when you're waiting for the cash register. That has all these beautiful, healthy, fit women promising their fitness diet, their tips. The celebrity women with their perfect bodies, and every woman in that lineup goes like, oh, I want to look like that, It's like, because you're being programmed that is a desirable way to be.
Yeah, well, take a look at the paintings and stuff like that from Europe, where there was female models and stuff like that, like say in pretty much all the way up until like say like the 1900s. Anything kind of before that, and they were generally more full-figured women.
Well, the thing is, you got to be really careful there, because beauty ideals change over time and from culture to culture. So you got to be very, very specific. Which artist, from what time frame, and from what region you're referencing, because just that like in some countries for certain periods. full-figured women were a symbol of being successful, being fruitful. You know, look at how well I'm doing. I can feed my woman. You know, that kind of thing. While
Absolutely.
while in
The
other
reason I bring
cultures
up
it
the
was
painting part of it is that that would have been a form of media back at that time. That's
for
the only
sure.
reason why I bring it up.
No, for sure, and they portrayed the beauty ideals of the day as well, just like our media today does. You know, like our fashion photographers and whatever beauty photographers. You know, the glam photographers. They for the most of part capture beauty as we perceive it today by today's beauty standards. You know, obviously there's a couple of rogue ones that break out of that specifically because of that and explore other parts of beauty, but generally speaking, you know, that's always been the case. That beauty ideals have changed over time, over cultures, you know, so the thing is
I don't know.
we've driven it to an unhealthy level.
Yeah, no, I agree too. And same with the double standard of women that get older are considered less attractive, and meanwhile, this other standard that men that get older, as they gray and stuff like that, are considered to be sexy and more distinguished. Like, what the fuck is that? You know, like, regardless whether you're a man or a woman, you're still getting older, right? Like,
Oh yeah, I can
you
attest to
know, like
that.
it's silly to me. You know, do I look more distinguished now than I was when I was 20 or 25? How the fuck do I know? You know,
Yeah.
like just because I have some white in my hair and stuff like that, that doesn't make me distinguished. You know, if I'm gonna be distinguished, it should be who I am as a person, not how I look.
No, you're
But
absolutely right. But that's the thing with society, you know, it's become so superficial. It's so hung up on image, on style, on presentation over substance, you know. I
yeah,
mean, it's
the really fucked up thing about that too is that without some of those certain industries, we wouldn't have as much work as we do,
sadly
right? I
enough
mean,
that's true.
how many fashion shows have you done in your career, Chris?
At least one too many.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's a good answer. But we've all done,
Oh yeah,
right?
for sure.
So like, yeah, or something fashion related, like say for a cosmetics company or something like that. We've all done those events,
Yeah,
you
of
know.
course.
So yeah, like it's incredible. You know, it's hard to make change for something like that, or want to change from it when you know still financially are compensated from it. You know what I mean? Like it's
Yeah.
that's where like a bigger culture shift really needs to happen as a whole. That's not anything that one person's ever going to be able to kind of push as far as that kind of agenda. It's got to be something that kind of sweeps the nation, you know. And I don't know. I like to think that some of the things that have happened over the past couple of years with men being called out for their treatment of women, especially in Hollywood, when you look at Harvey Weinstein and you know a few others that have been accused of you know sexual assault or whatever the case. That was a good check-in moment, that's for sure. But I really have to wonder now if since that kind of small revolution, shall we say, whether things have really changed or not, because you still hear stories every once in a while of you know people on set and stuff like that, especially in the TV or movie industry, just being unbearable to work with, you know, or
Yeah.
treating people poorly,
Yeah, but
you
I
know.
think I think one thing has changed is that those people will now be publicly shunned, you know?
Yes,
There's like
yes,
people will come up saying, "Hey, dude," or "Dudette," or whatever. You know, that is not appropriate behavior. You know,
yeah,
this
absolutely.
that won't fly. You know, cut that shit out or get out of here. You know,
Yeah,
so
well,
that definitely has changed. You know that it's harder for assholes to hide and to get away with it. You know, there people will call them out now. You know, even people that would have been too shy before to do that, you know, now basically have valid ground to stand on saying, hey, dude, no, that won't fly.
yeah, you know, I don't think that we should even be looking at it as, you know, how men or women are treated or
No,
any other orientation for
it's
that
just a
matter. How
society
are
thing.
people treated?
Yeah. Exactly. How do
How
you
are
treat
people
other
treated?
people in general, you know, or other
Yeah.
individuals, you know, whether it's people or animals, I don't care, you know?
And when we see something wrong, we should stand up for those that can't stand up for themselves,
Yep.
or that are being bullied in a way that they have no way of fighting back, whether that's from a position of power or whatever the case, But and that's why the times that we live in right now are quite interesting to see, and to try and muddle through what is truth and what isn't truth, to really be well informed. It that in itself, I can honestly say, has become a full time job to really know what makes sense and to filter through all the other stuff that doesn't make sense.
Right.
In some ways, it's exhausting.
No, you're absolutely right. It is. It is so tiresome, To, well, actually, basically it's just tiresome dealing with all these idiots that are, that have now come out of a hiding, basically, that have all blown their cover, and you realize how many idiots there is around you.
The whole Trump thing at this point, I just have to say it. Like, why are you putting these poor American people through this at this point? You've got, like, it's not going to happen. You are not going to overturn the election result or anything like that. And I mean, he obviously has no care about what he looks like or.
Yeah, of course not. No, it's just he's running on pure narcissism and.
But man, like, if any time was the time to concede and try and make things more smoothly, that olive branch should be extended right fucking now.
It's
Hasn't the country gone through enough? Haven't all of our countries gone through enough?
I've actually avoided political news lately, basically since I know, the election is done with, and there hasn't been a civil war breaking out in the States over it yet.
Predicted that too.
Well, like it was a very real possibility that something along those lines might happen. It wasn't off the table by any means, and it probably still isn't completely off the table. But like I said, once it was clear that the election was in the box, I stopped watching political news just to kind of get a little distance, because
I did too. Recently.
At that point for me, Trump is a done deal. He's yesterday's news. I don't even want to think about him anymore.
I don't think anybody does. To be quite honest, they just want it over.
Yeah. Well, he's the only one that wants people to think about him. That's why he's doing all this shit.
Yeah, no, and it's funny because I was actually speaking with a colleague of mine that works down in the U.S. Earlier this week, and one of the things that was brought up is, like, they said, well, hey, 70 million people still voted for Trump, and the thing that was really scary about that is, like, I just thought about that for a quick minute and thought, man, 70 million people. We don't even have 70 million people in Canada.
And we have half that.
Could you imagine if, like, we had a polarizing figure like that came in that everybody voted for? Like, I'm not saying that it would happen here, but there's always a possibility. Nobody ever thought it would happen in America either. So, it's a scary thought.
Yeah. Well, I mean, luckily we have more than two political parties, so that'll kind of break that dynamic up a bit,
I said it before and I'll say it again. Now would certainly be the time for a third party, or at least a third party in the U.S. Because the two of them are just such polar opposites. You would think that there's got to be some people that are in between. It's just people just don't exist that way.
Yeah.
You're always going to take ideas from one side or the other to what you believe. So why can't you have another alternative? Like, I don't know. I don't pretend to know enough about it as far as what's going on down there and why there's never been a third party. But man, like, if any time would be the time, now would be it.
Right.
It'd be really rough going for a long time to be able to secure the votes and stuff. And instead of running as an independent, form another party of like-minded people that maybe could offer a good alternative to both sides. And maybe that's exactly what needs to happen. Then they get into power, and the other parties have to take a good, long, hard look at themselves.
Right.
That's my political rant for the evening.
Yeah, I mean, you're not wrong. I'm trying to figure out. We have a little bit of issue with your audio not coming through. I'm not quite.
Okay.
Well, I'm picking it up through your through my microphone, but The way I've got Discord set up here right now, it's not sending your audio through. Let me.
As far as I know, you can still hear me, right?
I can hear you, yeah, but it's not routing it to the.
To the broadcast?
Yeah.
Good times.
Yeah.
An OBS issue.
Yeah. No, I just looked at OBS. It's actually, I think it's my output device settings.
My levels bounce on OBS when I talk?
No, I don't. That's what I'm saying. It's one of the things that hasn't been really routed yet properly. So let me see if that works.
Gotcha. All right. Well.
Oh, now I got you rooted. Now I'm seeing
You've been kind of cutting in and out too, but I don't know if that's just because you've left your mic open the entire time and it's just kind of auto going on or what. But
probably I was kind of leaning in and out as well. So
yeah, I got you. Well, I do see that it's almost 9 o'clock. So, and if you're having technical issues there, do you want to wrap it up?
I think I just solved those technical issues. So
okay, cool.
I just want to, but yeah, we should wrap it up anyways.
Yeah. Okay. Well, hey, Chris, I'm not going to see you before the holidays. So I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Yeah, and likewise. All the best for 2021. And I love you, brother.
Likewise. And we'll do big things in the new year.
I hope so.
Get this channel really off the ground and do some stuff. Okay?
Sounds good, man.
Okay, I'm going to play the outro video and just hang in there for a second after we go offline.